Dude, I feel the exact same. It's like I'm not surprised, but then reading more and more, you're like, holy shit, like it's pure evil, like demons, Satan spawns, right? So here we are on part 9, going over Jews and the encyclopedias from the 1890s. If you're new here, my name's Sandra. I love old books. This is one set I have, and this is the Chambers Encyclopedia. We have gone over Jews in the other set of encyclopedias, the Chicago Learning ones. Those are the pinned videos 1 and 2, but this book has a lot more, so we're on part 9. You can go back and look at the other ones. Religion. Generally speaking, Jews believe in the inspiration of the Old Testament, the authority of the law of Moses, the absolute unity and incorporability of the Godhead, the immortality of the soul, the ability of mankind to work out their own salvation without the help of a priest, mediator, or sacrifice, and the ultimate conversion of mankind to theism. Such are the main points of agreement between almost all Jews, but on many questions they are sharply divided. For some 2,000 years, there have been at least 2 religious sections. In the time of Christ, they were known as Pharisees, rabbinical Jews, and Sadducees, biblical Jews. In the Middle Ages, the Rabbinites and Karaites, the Rabbinites being adherents of the traditional Judaism, and the Karaites, insisting on the literal interpretation of Scripture. Since the early part of the 19th century, these differences have to some extent been reproduced in the divisions of Jews into Orthodox and Reformed. The latter, who may also be styled progressive or modern Jews, believe in the divine authority of the Old Testament or written law only, while Orthodox, otherwise known as conservative or rabbinical Jews, ascribe coordinated authority to the oral law of the rabbins, which they regard as the key to the explanation of Holy Writ. The oral law is embodied in the Talmud and its commentaries and is believed by them to have been orally transmitted to from Moses to his successors down the time of Judah, the Holy, or the Prince, see Ant, when it was first committed to writing. Just in case you didn't know, in the Talmud, it says it's okay if you sleep with a little girl who's under 3, that her hymen will grow back. And it doesn't actually not come back until she's over 3. Now, I watched a rabbi talk about that, and he said, well, he had relations with a little baby under the age of 3, and she bled. And then when he did it with her again, when she was 3, she bled again. So that must mean it regrows. I fucking hate sick people. I hate pedophiles so much, and if you think that that's okay, yes, I'm talking about you. To this main distinction, most of the divergencies between orthodoxy and reform can be traced. Thus, the difference of opinion on such questions as sacrifice, the Messiah, the return to Jerusalem, and the restoration of the national life follows as a corollary from the maintenance of repudiation of the rabbinical standpoint. A rabbinical Jew believes in the political reconstitution of his nation, the restoration to Palestine, the rebuilding of Jerusalem and of the temple on Mount Zion, and the rehabilitation of the sacrificial ritual. So a bunch of devil-worshipping demons. I'm just curious how they're going to know he or she is a descendant of David when they don't allow DNA testings, right? It's kind of like they're being run by a bunch of demon retards. Such are the hopes which inspire a great portion of the Orthodox liturgy. The Reformed Jew, interpreting Scripture in a free and rationalistic spirit, subscribes to none of these beliefs. The sacrifices ordained in the Pentateuch he regards in the light of a temporary concession of Moses to the barbarous customs of his age, and an institution which have once fallen into destitute will never again be revived. And in support of this view, he points not merely to the teaching of Maimonides, but to the frequent denunciation of sacrificial rites by the prophets and psalmists of Israel. Nor does he believe in the restoration of the national life or the return to Jerusalem. See, that's the people we want. Most commonly, indeed, he is even unwilling to admit that Jews can no longer be considered a nation, nor does he find any difficulty in explaining away those utterances of the prophets which would seem to point to such a return. Such utterances must either be referred to events in the proximate future, such as the return of the Jews to Palestine under the Edict of Cyrus, or they are to be regarded as mere rhetorical declamations or poetical pictures without any definite significance. Similarly, with the belief in a personal Messiah. Although this is one of the 13 articles of faith as laid down by the Maimonides? It is gradually being abandoned by modern Jews who are inclined to substitute it for the belief in the Messianic age in which, as foretold by the prophets, all mankind will be brought to the knowledge and worship of one God, and war and dissensions will cease from the face of the earth. For all this, it will be seen that Reformed Judaism not merely interprets Scripture in the light of common sense, but also exhibits a more or less decided leaning in the teachings of rationalism. Some of the more advanced reformers, indeed, for there are various degrees of reform, being pure rationalist, such theories as that of two Isaiahs or the late date of Daniel and Ecclesiastes are subscribed to by most educated Jews. But the Wellhausen theory of the Hexateuch is held only by the more advanced section of reformers. Sometimes it is stated that Orthodox Jews believe in the physical resurrection of the body after death, but this is not correct. It was the view of Jews in the time of Christ and has long since been suspended by the belief in the immortality of the soul. The distinction between orthodoxy and reform further exhibits itself in ceremonial practices and the ritual of the synagogue. Reformed Jews restrict themselves to the practice of the ceremonial laws laid down at the Pentateuch, with the exception of those which, like the institution of sacrifice, have no application at the present day. Orthodox Jews are expected to obey, besides the legislation of the Pentateuch, the entire body of the oral law with its many thousands of minute and the several... Sorry, I'm getting a call. I hope I didn't mess it up. And the several customs which have become sanctified by age and tradition. These are principally set forth in a digest known as the Shulchan Aruch, the textbook of Orthodox Judaism. As in private practices, so in the public worship of the synagogue, Reformed Jews have simplified the ritual and adapted it to modern needs. They have introduced instrumental music and mixed choirs. In the more advanced synagogues, particularly in America, the service is made to approximate the church practices in three particulars. 1, the sexes sit together in family pews. 2, the heads of the male worships are uncovered. 3, the service is in the vernacular. In some synagogues, Berlin, Philadelphia, and Chicago, innovation have been carried to the extent of substituting Sunday for the seventh-day Sabbath, while several synagogues in America have Sunday services in addition to those held on the Sabbath. The program of Judaism put forth by Dr. Krauskopf of Philadelphia in 1888 is so very radical a character as hardly to deserve the title of Judaism. But at the congregation which have adopted it not only call themselves Jews, but are regarded as such by the rest of the community. It must be set down us the ultimate phase of Judaism, marking the limits beyond which it would not be possible for Judaism to travel without merging its identity in theism or agnosticism. We discard, says Dr. Krauskopf, the belief in a God who is a man magnified, who has his Adobe somewhere in the interstellar spaces. Boy, my lisp is on point. We discard the belief that the Bible was written by God. I have to say I do believe that. Or by man under the immediate dictation of God, and that its teachings are therefore infallible. We disregard the belief in the coming of a human Messiah who will lead us back to Palestine, establish the rulers of the world, and make all nations tributaries to us. Come back for part 10.